Hi, and welcome back, wherever it is that you're watching or listening. My name is Mindy, and welcome. I am halfway through reading my debut book, 23 Ways to Leave Toxic People, Patterns, and the Pain That Keeps You Stuck. And today is going into part three, Navigating the Aftermath. This is the part no one really prepares you for, the quiet after the storm, the reality that hits once the drama has stopped spinning and you're left with nothing but your own thoughts, your own body, your own grief. Because even if it was the right decision, whether a breakup, a boundary, or a full blown life overhaul, the aftermath still hurts a lot. This section isn't just for people fresh out of romantic relationships. It's for anyone who's ever walked away from a dynamic that was breaking their spirit. Anyone who's ever had to grieve the version of themselves that they became to survive someone else's dysfunction. This is for the daughter who finally stepped back from a toxic parent, the employee who left a soul crushing job, the friend who drew a line with someone they loved but could no longer enable. If you've ever loved someone who made you question your worth and then found the strength to walk away or shift the relationship, you belong here. You've left the chaos. You've untangled yourself from the stories, the roles, the lies, the gaslighting, and the emotional power plays. You've started remembering who you are without the constant noise. But now comes the real work. Now comes the feelings, the emotional whiplash, the maybe it wasn't that bad, second guessing, the guilt, the anger, the relief, the grief, the ache of the future you had hoped you could have, the craving for the version of them that you fell for, the shame of what you tolerated, the fear that you'll never trust yourself again. This is where we process all of it, one tender, powerful piece at a time. In this section, you'll learn how to ride the emotional waves without drowning in them, reclaim your power without needing an apology, break your old patterns with fierce compassion. Trust yourself again after all the gaslighting. Forgive the version of you who didn't know better. And grieve the dream that didn't come true without losing hope for the ones that still can. These tools aren't one size fits all. They're meant to meet you exactly where you are. Take what works and leave the rest. Whether you're leaving a romantic partner, a narcissistic parent, a toxic boss, or even just your own self destructive habits, what comes next is all about you. Let's begin again on your terms this time. Chapter 13, Leaving the Emotional Chaos, Handling the Roller Coaster of Feelings. 5 months after he died, I started cleaning up my house to sell it. No one had shown much interest in it, and eventually I took it off the market, but the process of getting it ready was strangely cathartic. I began pulling down photos and mementos, boxing up souvenirs from the trips we took, candle sconces he'd picked out back when we lived in our first apartment. Pretty much anything that reminded me of the life that we had shared had to go so that I could stage the house for strangers. But truthfully, I didn't give a shit about impressing buyers. I just wanted to erase the pain and the memory of him as quickly as possible. I thought if I changed the house, I'd change how I felt. New paint, new furniture, new energy. I got rid of the giant brown reclining couches that he'd loved, and I found a slightly used golden wheat set online that more suited my taste. I painted over the bold La Fonda copper accent wall that he had insisted on, replacing it with some Pinterest famous shade of calming blue. Friends would come over and say, "Wow, the house feels totally different now." And it did. It felt like mine for the first time in a long time. It felt good to be in a space where the ghosts weren't so loud. But then came the paint. One friend on his way out the door as we were prepping the house to sell. Tried grabbing a drink from the cooler and accidentally knocked over a can of dark brown paint that I had just used to touch up the back door. 24 ounces of it splattered across my tile and into the grout, bleeding like a slow-moving bruise that I couldn't wipe away fast enough. He didn't have time to stay and help me clean it up, so there I was, alone on my knees with a stack of brown paper towels, sobbing while I tried to scrub grief off the floor. It wasn't really about the paint. My tears weren't, anyway. I was crying because of the gut punch realization that I had been trying so hard to clean up my life and wipe it away. And it still felt like no matter what I did, everything kept spilling over and bleeding out. I was leaving the marriage to make my life better, and instead, I was gifted a tragedy. I thought I was almost okay, and then I wasn't again. That's what makes healing so damn messy. Like brown paint and tile grout. You can be making progress, laughing with friends, feeling proud of the changes you've made, and then something random knocks the wind out of you. A spilled paint can, a song on the radio, smell of a cologne that you remember, a dream you didn't even realize you were still holding on to. And suddenly, you're back on your knees, trying to clean up the mess. Why breakups feel like emotional whiplash. In chapter 10, we talked a little bit about grief, but here I want to highlight the definitions of grief that I learned from the Grief Recovery Method Handbook. Grief is a normal and natural response to a loss. The conflicting feelings that come after a loss of or change in a familiar pattern of behavior. Wishing something had been different, better, or more. And the loss of hopes, dreams, and expectations. Looking at breakups, that last one really screams out to me. You're grieving not just the person, but the future you'd imagined. Every new year, every milestone, every holiday is just another reminder of the altered reality that you find yourself in, that you didn't ask for. No matter how much I wanted my marriage to end, no matter how much I logically do not want to be with my husband, I still find pieces of me inside my head and my heart who miss him, who wish he were here. They're sad that he's not still here, watching our kids grow up, sitting next to me in his recliner. And even though I got a new couch, I still find myself reaching out for him at times to joke about something the kids did or to dig up an old, "Do you remember back when?" only to find he's not there. It's an odd kind of hurt, but so familiar. They say our brains have to chemically withdraw from the relationship. Yes, like an addiction. I know for me, it took at least a few months, or it took a few months at least for my brain to realize he wasn't going to walk through that door. The emotions that all stacked up on each other, conflicting, relief, anger, loneliness, empowerment, nostalgia, and freedom kept my head spinning most of the time. It was like I could feel everything everywhere, and all these emotions were turned up full blast, all existing in my body at the same time. There's no manual for how to feel your feelings the right way. That's because there isn't a right way. There's just your way. And sometimes it looks like laughing at a dumb meme and then crying because you remembered he would have thought it was funny, too. Other times it looks like going numb and zoning out to Netflix for 4 days straight. Whatever wave you're riding today, let it move through you without trying to label it as good, bad, weak, or dramatic. Feelings are just data giving you signals about your body, not directives on your life. One thing I learned the hard way: don't make big decisions when you're in a high or a low. You might feel on top of the world one day, ready to bleach your hair, block your ex, Then the next day, you're spiraling because you saw an old anniversary post in your Facebook memories. Let the big feelings come, but wait for the waters to settle before you make any big moves. You don't have to react to every emotion the second it shows up. Let it breathe. And please practice emotional hygiene. Just like you brush your teeth or shower to keep your body feeling good, you can build habits to keep your emotional energy from getting clogged up. Start by trading out the true crime podcasts and murder mysteries and other entertainment that gets you spiraling for something more neutral. Unfollow or mute people who send you into a tailspin every time they post. Archive the text threads so you don't feel the need to go back and reread old messages at midnight, hoping to find closure in words that already happened. Give yourself the gift of these boundaries, even if it feels a little harsh at first. This is not about being cold, it's about protecting your sanity. Somatic release tools, getting the emotion out of your body. Grief does not just live in your thoughts. Your body keeps score, whether your brain wants to or not. You can clean your house top to bottom, repaint the walls, and change the couch, but your body still holds the memory of everything you've been through, no matter what living room you're in. Every heartbreak, every goodbye, every I don't even know who I am without them, it lives in your muscles, your breath, your nervous system. It's wired into you. That's why I'm such a fan of somatic release work. It helps get the emotion out of your body instead of letting it swirl around in your head on repeat. Lying down hip openers. So many of us carry our stress, trauma, and heartbreak in our hips. This gentle position can help you soften and release some of that tension. You'll lie flat on your back, bringing the soles of your feet together, letting your knees fall open like butterfly wings. Place pillows under your knees if it feels too intense, just for some support. Rest your hands on your heart and belly and just breathe. Slowly, deeply, noticing. Stay for a few minutes or however long your body needs. And you don't have to force anything. Just let gravity do the work. Let any emotions rise if they come up, and let the tears fall if they need to. The possum shake. When animals survive something traumatic, they literally shake it off to release stress. Possums play dead, lowering their heart rate, and as soon as they're ready to come back into safety, they literally shake it off. Our nervous systems are wired in a similar way, but most of us learned to sit still and keep it all together, holding it all inside. This is your permission to shake the hell out of it. Put on a song that feels wild, chaotic, or high energy. Doesn't matter what kind of music it is, just something that works for you. Stand up and shake your arms, legs, hips, head, whatever feels good. Bounce, flop, wiggle, dance. It doesn't have to look pretty. You just need to let your body move the energy out instead of holding it all in. Shake out your hands and wrists, stomp your feet. You might feel silly at first, but keep going. You'll be amazed at how different you feel afterward. Lighter, clearer, more grounded. Give yourself a real hug. Not the arms crossed across your chest because you're cold kind of hug. I'm talking a real, intentional, you've got you kind of hug. Wrap your arms around your body like you mean it. Squeeze harder. Rock from one side to the other, or still your body, rubbing your hands up and down, whatever feels soothing to you in the moment. Breathe deeply and say something kind to yourself out loud. You're okay. I'm here. We're going to get through this. You're not broken. You're just a human with a tender heart, a tender nervous system doing its best to survive a lot. You're doing it, whether it feels like crawling, sprinting, or sobbing on the floor with a roll of paper towels. You are riding the emotional waves. Some days it might feel like they're pulling you under, and other days you're standing tall with salt water in your hair and sunlight on your face. That's how healing works. It's messy and non-linear, but it's still forward. Let your emotions move through you, not define you. You are not your grief. You are not the heartache or the loss. You are the space that those things move through. And that space is powerful, sacred, and full of possibility. Keep checking in with your body. Keep breathing. Keep showing up for yourself. Remember, you have made it through 100% of your worst days so far, and you're learning to trust yourself again, to feel everything and still know that you're going to be okay. You don't have to have all of the answers today. You just have to stay curious enough to ask the right questions. Here are a few to sit with in your journal. What would empower me right now, and how can I achieve it? Where in my life am I holding on too tightly, and what might it feel like to let go even just a little? When do I feel most like myself, and how can I create more of that? What is one boundary I can set this week that would support my peace? If my body could speak, what would it say? What does it need from me? What would it feel like to forgive myself for being human? Take your time. Come back to these anytime you feel tossed around again. You're not alone in the waves, and you're stronger than you think. Thank you again for being here with me today on this reading of my book, 23 Ways to Leave. If anything in this resonated with you and you'd like to share it with others, I would invite you to please send it along to anyone who would enjoy this or get something out of it. Thank you so much, and I will see you again for chapter 14. Until next time, love you, mean it.